Welcome to the May 6th, 2025 community gathering. We have called these calls Cosmic Tower Q&As. We've had a version that was Lavanya. We've had different ways of being, and now we're just calling them community gatherings. And our intention in gathering in this way is that we meet in a process where we feel our hearts, and that we Nico has a process he'll lead us in today that helps us to feel, to be present, and to feel. And that's the most important part, is just that we come together and we create this loving energy field. And then, while we're here, there are things to talk about. So we'll make room for your questions. If you have any questions, it's always welcome. Audience participation is always wonderful here. We'll give you a little update on the Cosmic Tower road trip, and to share with you the potential of the road trip for anybody that doesn't know about it, and we'll do a process. So I'm going to start with one kind of question or situation that came up in the past month, and we felt it was worth kind of replaying out here. And then if you guys have any questions, you can use the chat, or you can jump in verbally after we go through this scenario. So the scenario is somebody emailed into us inquiring about the Cosmic Tower and essentially what they were expressing in all the different ways that they wrote it. And I'm not going to go pull their words up because I don't really want to feel the words again, which is kind of the whole point, is they were expressing that I feel fearful about my life. Like, I have intrusive thoughts, and I have bombardment, and I have this sense of like just thinking about things I don't even want to think about. And I'm fearing the future and fearing the past, and or traumatized by the past, and it just all of it. I think you guys are getting the flavor of it. Just watching you guys respond as I'm speaking, I feel like you're getting it. So, Nico, you remember that situation, and if you want to do any more of the setting of the stage of that, please do, and then let's talk about it and how the Cosmic Tower connects with that.
Yeah, I think this question really aligns beautifully about what I want to talk about today, which is that most people, they live their lives from the sympathetic nervous system, right? Fear, survival, and this really lives also in our collective. So a lot of experience, remember we talked about how humans are an open energy system, meaning that how you feel in the moment, what you think affects the collective. What the collective feels and what's going on in the collective affects us, right? And most people are in their sympathetic nervous system, and that's also where we're being kept, right? Because that, it's a way we can be controlled. It's a way, companies sell things, all these things that we might not necessarily need for our lives, but it all comes from these fears, because we cannot make any rational decisions when we're in a state of fear, when we're in the sympathetic nervous system. It's a very responsive, it's a very reactive way of existing. And the thing is, because the collective consciousness is that way, unless you actually learn to bring yourself back into the parasympathetic nervous system, to let go of that, you're just basically, you're going to be a puppet. You're going to be living out the fears and everything that is going on in the collective, and the collective is not going to change. It's just going to get worse. So what it takes is people like ourselves that sense that, and then make the choice to come out of this fight or flight mode, because there is no answers there, right? These are states that are created by the mind, because if you're really present right now in this moment, there's no fear, unless there's, I don't know, a tiger that just walked into your house or something, right? You don't have to fear for your life right in this moment. What happens is, most people live in that sympathetic nervous system and only up here, and it's the mind that creates all these fears. fears of the future, fears of this. But right here in this moment, when we let the mind go, there's nothing to be fearful of. Right. And don't get me wrong, the sympathetic nervous system, it has its place. Right. If you're in an emergency situation, if you're in survival mode, but then what is supposed to happen is then we come back to the parasympathetic. I mean, have you ever seen, I find it fascinating if you see an animal that like they're in a dangerous situation or they're fighting for their life or whatever, and then you see them and they've kind of shaken it off later when the whole thing is over. And like maybe 30 seconds, a minute, a few minutes later, it's like nothing ever happened. Right? This is how this is meant to work. It's like really um, gathering all the resources to survive in that moment. But then the humans, like, we get stuck in that red line, in that overdrive mode. Why? Because, we have these conscious thoughts. So the moment is over. So what do? We keep rehashing it in our mind. Oh my gosh, this could have been so much worse. This could have happened, that happened. And we just keep triggering that the survival state. And let's face it, at least for most of us here in the Western world, yeah, there can be things of concern, things to stress about sometimes, or things to give some thought, but it's not like you're in a constant fear for your life behind like every corner, right? So I think a big part of this, and to that person, this is what projects like the Cosmic Tower, are about. It's really about coming back in that, in that sense of calm, in that peacefulness. And that's really important, because a lot of people that tell me I can't feel my tower. Well, you cannot feel your tower or life when you're in the sympathetic nervous system, right? This is not the space that opens up your intuition and your guidance. So, yeah, sorry, Patter, I kind of went into it there, but that would be,
It's so
you
good.
know.
Hey, let me play in the flow with you. Does anybody want to jump in and join us in the dialogue? Like, I'm really curious how this topic lands with you guys, and to get a couple of perspectives on your awareness of sympathetic and parasympathetic. And so you could start with just telling us, are you aware of it? And then, do you feel like you have the capability to move from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic, or do you just get stuck and don't know how? Marcia, I know you'll talk to me. So what do you think about this topic?
You have choice. If you can be happy, you can be sad. And again, it always comes down to who's your God. I'm sorry, I don't mean to bring God in, but I mean, that's the truth. I mean, and what do you have for fear? I mean, where's your thought patterns? I mean, I'm sorry, I just, it's all love until you decide to make it duality.
That's a great way to say it. I don't know what you're apologizing for. Thanks for jumping in with us.
I mean,
Until you make it duality. That's great. Nico, you just took me on a little bit of a journey. Like, I first heard the word parasympathetic nervous system with any kind of meaning and understanding like 2021. And I remember I was going on a road trip from Texas to California, and I thought I was going on a road trip to fix my manufacturing, and I was actually going on a road trip to become aware of my nervous system. That's actually what the theme of it was. Yeah, Marcia.
I just have a question. Wendy, where are you? Because your sky is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, Wendy's in BC, British Columbia.
Oh, it's just beautiful skies. I just wanted to tell you, it's absolutely gorgeous looking at you and your sky. Sorry.
You can see me, can you?
It's gorgeous. Yeah. Okay, I'll be quiet.
I was noticing Wendy outside today too. Wendy, it's nice to see that the weather's warm and we're in May, and that you get to be outside. That's great.
Okay, back to the subject.
Well, it's all part of it, right? Like when we stop to slow down to appreciate nature, we move toward the parasympathetic, and so some of us might just have moved on that comment, Marcia. Like that might be the thing. I think it actually impacted me, you know? So it's beautiful. Anybody else want to share their experience and awareness of this topic? Maybe you have a question and you don't really know how to access the parasympathetic, or you've never felt it. Where are you guys on this? Like how well known is it for you? Zane's willing to jump in.
Yeah, for me, in my Qigong practice, we become keenly aware of our choice, what I call choice points. And when I find myself reacting to something and automatically the subconscious kicks in, deep fears, or whatever's existing in my subconscious, I press the pause button. I think I've shared this before, but what's helpful to me is I ask myself, well, who's feeling this? And that helps me separate out from my ego, and that is driven by subconscious stuff and kind of like hidden software in one's program. So, what we've been doing as a group in my Qigong group is that we identify it. We try to stop it there, the choice point, and we can go into, I say, well, a true self, please clear the unconscious for me as I go through this. And suddenly it becomes like you separate out from whatever's bringing up fear or whatever. And also realizing that the body starts to produce hormones or certain substances in the body that can cause toxins inside. And so knowing that, I'm inspired to catch it at the mountain pass before I go down into the vortex and and stay in this higher state. Because if you can maintain that, like suddenly thinking what you're grateful for, things like that, and suddenly I'm in another frequency altogether, and that becomes foreground. So that becomes the master, and it takes the other one out the driver's seat, and so it's a process, and just becoming aware of that, I think, is a huge step, and then you can work with it. So,
Zane, this is at least the third time you've shared with me the concept of who is feeling this, and
yeah,
I just want to thank you again. Like each time you do it, it sinks in a little further, and there's a little bit more of a chance that I'm going to have a moment that I actually take your wisdom when I'm right at that choice point where the rubber meets the road. So thank you for presencing it again for me and for everyone. It's such a beautiful thing that you do, and I appreciate your choice to keep coming back to the natural, the divine, the infinite, the part that makes you feel good.
yes, and what's interesting is the body starts to produce hormones and neuropeptides, things like that support your health. It's like good for you. So knowing that, it inspires me more to keep a watch on it. Yeah.
Well, I think you just built the bridge between the cosmic tower and health, right? And this community and health. It's like when we can pause ourselves and get back to that feeling of heart, when we can come to parasympathetic, when we can feel nature, then we start generating an entire different landscape to live in. And that landscape occurs to me as much healthier, much more joyous. So it'd be amazing.
And we have a choice.
Right on, brother. Roxana, jump in.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Hear you great. Yes, thank you.
You can hear me. Okay, great. Yeah, I had an experience this morning that I want to share. Very ordinary, and that's part of why I want to share it. There's a lot of context, but I'll just jump into what happened. I think it happens for all of us. I was out on the road and I was ready to park, a parallel parking. and a car was coming around behind me. I'm in Florida, and it was easy for me to claim the space. And so I parked, and this woman waited, and then she backed up. My mind went into, oh my gosh, what does she want now? So I am going on automatic, very subtle kind of sympathetic nervous system stuff, and based on a lot of history. And she rolls down her window, and I look at her like, okay. And she said, I just want to say to you that that was a fabulous parking job. Oh my gosh. I mean, it made me aware of how my system was so ready for the negative. And she changed my whole day. If more of us could do something like that for someone else every day, what a different world it could be, right?
Oh, Roxana, that's so beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank you for sharing.
yeah.
I want to tell you guys a little story from Saturday night. So before we started the recording, I was telling people gathered here. And so now everybody's caught up that 3 nights ago, there was a gathering here, and there were 14 people, and they were musicians. And there was one woman who sat in the corner in one of these chairs, which are kind of stiff. And she sat all night. You just feel her wanting to go. Everybody else is dancing and playing, and now for me, like, dance and movement around music has been really challenging. I've been learning this month that it's connected to my sound sensitivity and why I have such a hard time with lawnmowers and weed whackers and motorcycles and all that stuff. And I'm surrounded by musicians this month. I have a beautiful singer living in my house this month. And there's been music like almost every day, and I'm breaking through. Like, so there we are. I'm actually part of the crew that's dancing, and I see this woman and I know what she feels like because I've been in that chair. And she stands up. She gets herself out of the chair. I so wanted to go over and pick her up, but she stood up. And once she stood up, I went over and grabbed her hand and just started dancing with her. And once I started dancing with her, the whole room changed. It completely, it's like it swung into like a dynamic vortex, and people started laughing, and there was interplay between the dancers. Instead of like people facing the musicians, it became more of a circle, and there was a lot of interactivity, and people started, gosh, the laughter was just outrageous. So I want to ask right now in this room that the same thing happen. Whoever it is who is most afraid to have their voice heard in this room, unmute yourself and talk to me. Just say hi. Just let your voice be heard, and we're all safe here. Nobody's judging you. This is not middle school, and you're concerned about being afraid about having your voice heard. It's over. These people just love you. And so whoever it is on the spectrum, unmute and say hi. Okay, I saw the unmuting.
That's me, Patrick.
Yeah.
My name is Cynthia. Thanks so much. I have an old PC
Yes.
that does not have a camera, but I so much appreciate these monthly Zoom meetings. So I want to thank everyone.
Oh my gosh, Cynthia. All right, everybody, like, we're doing a virtual hug, and Cynthia's gonna feel it. Like, hug Cynthia. Like, just love her as a community. Thank you for being here, Cynthia, and thank you for sharing your voice, and thank you for overcoming your fear. And while the rubber meets the road, meeting that sympathetic nervous system and saying, no, I choose parasympathetic. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job. Woo! That's amazing. All right, Nico, this is supposed to be your process, but I just really want to get in it with our community. So thank you for making space to kind of flow together here.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, so if there's any questions, of course, put them in the chat. We'll still answer them later. And today, this is all. It's about having an experience, right? And we shifted these calls to be more about embodiment, because if anybody knows about using your mind a lot and studying a lot, trust me, it's me. When did my life begin to change? When all those things that I say, like, oh yeah, that's common sense, when they became like common practice, and when I actually started to implement them, right? Because I think one of the things of being stuck in the mind and in that sympathetic nervous system, we're always looking for something new, something better, right? So what I want to bring here to you is, things that work for me. Doesn't mean they work for you, but I just want to invite you to whatever works on this call, take it and make it a part of your life, right? And embody it. And you might say, well, does this have to do with the cosmic tower? It has everything to do with the cosmic tower, because when people say, like, I can't really connect to my tower, well, the tower is not gonna come meet you here in the crazy world of your mind that's all over, that's all scattered. That is not the purpose of the tower. The tower says, hey, here's this beautiful harmonious energy. I'd love to connect with you, but I invite you to meet me here. And that still gives you the choice. You have this place, this power spot, this place of harmony, this harmonious energy sitting in your house if you have a tower, right? But you can still choose to tune into all the discord, all the fighting, what's going on in television, what's going on in the news. And remember, we're talking about subtle principles here. Where you put your awareness, you create a resonance with, meaning that what you connect with, what you put your awareness on, you exchange energy. So I just want to, these are simple shifts that have profound like effects. For example, if you're walking, I know some people that they see every 5G tower in the neighborhood, and they're also hypersensitive. Why? Because they're constantly focused on sources of distortion, right? And exchanging energy. They're basically voting and saying yes. Even when they say, I don't want these here, that's still a vote yes, because awareness, right? You put your awareness there, so you make that stronger. So, if you're one of those people, it's not a criticism, it's just an observation. But I invite you that if you go on a walk, see all that's alive. Focus on the trees. Focus on the harmony of nature, and you will notice that you start to shift. So today I want to give you a felt experience of coming into the parasympathetic, because that's where your cosmic tower hangs out, and that's where you will find the connection. So the tower is beautiful because you always have that invitation there, right? I sit with my laptop a lot, or on my phone, but I make it a point to pause and look at the tower, to connect with something harmonious. Can also be your tree outside, right? So always remember that what you put your focus on, your awareness on, you go into resonance with. What you go into resonance with, you exchange energy with. So today we go through a guided process that can help you reset and come back in that parasympathetic. And afterwards, many of you may find that, it might be easier to feel the presence of your tower, because actually you're finally home, right? Your home is in your parasympathetic nervous system and relax, and then you have these moments where you kick into sympathetic. So, but most of us, we stay there and we're living there now. This is actually about coming back home. And I like to say, call it God. I like to call it source, right? The source of everything that is. You can't force back to source. Okay, you can only relax into it. And I come from a world in the corporate world where stress is glorified. How are you doing? Oh, I am so stressed. And boy, as if it's a good thing, right? As if the more stressed you are, the more successful you are at life. I mean, just like think about that. Like the more you're disconnected from life, you're not feeling, you're not in this flow, that's actually being glorified. So, screw that. The more you can be relaxed and things can go on, but the more relaxed you are, the more you are in life. To me, the more successful you are, if you even want to call it that. So the parasympathetic nervous system, that's where we rest. That's where we digest. Look at all these digestive systems issues that people have. A lot of them, are related to the mind and to the emotion. And the parasympathetic is where we can repair. It's also where we can receive. Right, it's where healing, inspiration, and connection happen. When you hear the story about Archimedes, he had his greatest insight while relaxing in a bathtub. That's what this whole eureka is really about. It's a whisper that you hear in the stillness. That's where inspiration, that's where guidance comes. That's also where your tower lives. So what I would like to suggest is I just want you, and you can close your eyes if you want, and just tune into your own inner state, your mind, your body. And on a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being total stress, chaos, busy thoughts, and 10 being a deep calm, clarity, and presence, where would you rate yourself, your current state? You can write that number down. You can put it in the chat. So 10, it totally zen. 1, complete chaos. So just write that down. You can put it in the chat if you want. And then also expand your awareness to the group field. Nico, how do I turn into the group? Well, if you're looking at me and you're seeing other people, you're already doing it. Remember where your awareness is? That's what you're exchanging energy with, and then feel if anything is changing. So where would you rate, the group field, the collective? All right. So just write that down, and then we'll do a little process. And I'll show you how to reliably get into the parasympathetic, and then you can rate this again later and tune into it. And the way I bring you these things, it's not chronological. I'll actually bring you this thing that came to me lately that has really helped me with this. It's like profound. So I want to bring that to you today. And it's actually called Buteyko breathing. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but he was a Russian, really an expert on breathing. And for me, like, yeah, I had success, obviously, getting into the parasympathetic, but I didn't realize that I was actually breathing too much, over breathing. And what the Buteyko method, and I'll put the name in later in the chat and you can look it up, and there's a lot of YouTube where you can practice with it. It taught me that this over breathing isn't helpful. It's actually a stress signal. And what you do with this Buteyko breathing is you actually breathe less. And when you breathe less, you calm the system and you actually get more oxygen to your cells, not less. I know this sounds counterintuitive, but it's really that way. But what I noticed when I did is it made me really present and would drop me into the parasympathetic quickly. That's why I want to guide you through this today. Have you ever had that feeling, like if you hold your breath, where you kind of get that feeling like air hunger, right? Like you want to breathe. It's really about creating that, but not in a way that you're tense, but having that feeling, because what that means is actually that your CO2 level is rising in the body. Now, in our polarized world, we see most things black or white. Oxygen, good. CO2, bad. Oxygen, sustenance. Oxygen, energy. CO2, waste product. Well, it's not quite like that. Remember, everything is a balance. Everything is like a loop. It's a feedback system. And one of the key insights that I got from the Buteyko method is that CO2 is not just a waste gas. It's actually essential for oxygen delivery. So what they found is when your CO2 levels actually slightly rise in the body when we breathe less, it causes the blood vessels to open up, and then it signals our hemoglobin to actually release more oxygen to your cells. So paradoxically, like the less you breathe, the more oxygen your brain and your body actually get. And that's why breathing less makes you feel calmer, clearer, and more alive. So I want to take you through that. The most important thing is like all the breaths, they happen in and out through the nose. The mouth has nothing to do with breathing. You can do certain types of breaths to create certain effects, but for your regular breath, that's also how I learned from my Taoist master, always in and out through the nose, right? So let's go through that, and yeah, just enjoy and just relax, right? Just have fun with it. So let's just begin by sitting comfortably, and you can get your spine straight, but not stiff. Let the back of your neck lengthen slightly, kind of as if you have a string lifting you up through your crown. And you can let your hands rest softly in your lap or on your knees, and then just gently close your eyes or just lower your gaze and really have a gaze. It's one way, if you keep your eyes open, to get into the parasympathetic. When you focus, you go in sympathetic. When you gaze, kind of see everything but nothing specifically, the gaze also brings you into parasympathetic. That's right. Just let the muscles in your face soften, and just take a moment to land here in your body. There's nothing to achieve, just be. And then I'd just like you to focus on your nose, and just focus on where you're breathing in and out of your nose. Just make your breath really soft and gentle, in and out the nose, quiet. That's right. And just allow each breath to become just a little smaller and smoother. You really don't want to hear your breath. You can imagine as if there's a little feather under your nose and you're breathing, but you're not disturbing that feather at all. Just imagine with each breath, just taking in enough air, nothing more, nothing less, just light breathing. That's right. And then every time you come to where you breathe out, I don't even want you to breathe out. I just want you to relax. And then notice how the out breath just naturally happens. So every time you come to a point where you want to breathe out, just focus on relaxing. Relaxing the space between your eyebrows. Unclenching your jaw. Just like letting your shoulders drop. That's right. And as you continue breathing light and slow through your nose, just notice that sensation at the tip of your nostrils, like great breath going in. And as you relax, breath going out. That's right. And if you feel a little desire, like for more air, a little bit of the breath hunger, that's okay. Just try to relax into it. That gentle air hunger that you might feel is a sign you're shifting into the parasympathetic. One thing that really works too, that's important, have a slight smile. And if you have a slight smile, it lifts the organs. That's right. All I'd like you to do is, if you have that comfortable rhythm, in through the nose, out through the nose, I just want you to decrease the amount of air you take in and that you breathe out by maybe like 5 or 10%, oh so slightly, to where you get that gentle feeling of air hunger. You don't want it to where you start tensing up and all that, or where your diaphragm starts twitching. If you do that, simply breathe in a little more. That's right. But you want that gentle air hunger, just that feeling to be there. That's right. Beautiful. And as you do this, just breathing enough, slow, deep, gentle, quiet. That's right. Just scan your body. You might feel that your hands feel warm or tingly. Maybe there's saliva in your mouth. Those are all signs that you're coming into the parasympathetic, your rest and digest. That's right. It's just softening. Always softening, staying with that breath. You can take it into your body to where you imagine that there's like a ball where your diaphragm is. You can even put your hands there if you have difficulty connecting to your breath, and just feel that ball expand as you breathe in, contract as you breathe out. Just being connected with the breath and how that feels in your body. That's right. So when you notice like this warmth, the saliva, your mind might feel softer. These are all signs that your body is shifting. Your nervous system is coming home and you're returning to your natural state, connected, clear, and open. Let's take another breath together, gently in through the nose and gently out through the nose. That's right. And each time you breathe out, remember, it's just a relaxation. Anytime you breathe in, you might feel some tension somewhere in your body. On the next exhale, so just let that relax. That's right. What you might also notice is that the less tension there is, the less breath you need. I was really surprised of how little I actually needed to breathe when I'm relaxed. That's right. Beautiful. Just let yourself drop in that center. Just stay there. You don't need to do more to get there. You simply need to feel more, to just be more here. It's from this state that you're in, this calm, peaceful state of awareness. This is where you can hear your intuition. This is also where you can meet your tower. This is where we live. This is where we can receive life more fully. It's a state of receptivity. Beautiful. So when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes and notice how you feel. And I'd just like you to tune in again, even if your eyes are still closed. And now, on a scale from 1 to 10, where would you rate yourself? With 10 being like Buddha Zen and 1 being chaos. And notice what a shift is and changed. And then the same, when you open your eyes and you connect back to the people in the room, notice the differences in just our group and in our collective, the energy. Right? Just notice that. How does it feel now? Does it feel calmer, softer, lighter, Right? It's the power of your breath. For me, the breath, it's that bridge between the subtle realm and the physical realm, right? Between the body and the mind. When the mind's irregular, is all over the place, so is the breathing. So don't go fight your mind. It's what got you there. Focus on your breathing. Consciously make it softer, make it more relaxed, and you notice your mind will follow. Right? So yeah, that's how easy it is to get into your parasympathetic nervous system. This is the portal to healing, to insight, to intuition, to feeling. Because when you return here, you return to your natural state. And your tower, it doesn't respond to force. It responds to resonance. And resonance begins with presence. All right. So come back to this breath, this softness, this you anytime. Right? And you will drastically see your life change in so many beautiful ways.
Thank you, Nico. That's really beautiful. As we were getting started, I had asked a question here. Can you explain the difference, if any, between BG3 and Bovis?
Between BG3 and Bovis? Yeah, absolutely. So the Bovis scale measures, I mean, they're related, obviously, Ed, right? But the Bovis scale, it was invented by like a French scientist and Dowser to measure the life force that is present in a being, in a substance, in a place, right? And it would put a particular value of that life force. And the BG3, it is connected to life force, but it's more about the power of the center. If you look at the center of the circle, right, that's where the divine is. You ever seen the circle with the dot, with the point in the middle, with it's a sign of God or right, of the source, because it's in that point. Because there really isn't the center. The center is not a place, because you can look at the dot as also being a circle, and then that having a center. So the center is transcendental. And this is all about connecting to the source. I like to call it source, whatever you want to call that, which cannot be named. And you connect to the divine in this center. And this center has the quality to where it can balance anything and everything and can organize it. And that quality is called BG3 in the biogeometry, which is being able to measure really this divine quality of the center that that is able to harmonize anything. Hope that answers your question. So yeah, they're definitely related. What you notice, if you bring more of this centering quality into an environment, you'll notice that the life force, you know, will go up too and will increase in that space.
Thank you, Nico. Who else has questions?
May I interject something? This is Helena.
Yeah.
Welcome. Yes.
Thank you so much. So I just got my tower, I think about 10 days ago. And one of the main reasons I got it, I've been wanting to get one for some time. I got the 35, and I have a small 1,000 square foot home. So I thought it was a good start. And my dog was already having some issues. And then they started getting worse since I've had the tower. And he's a young dog. And I was wondering if maybe I had it too close to where he eats and sleeps, and it might be helping him to detox, which might be too much for him. Is that possible?
Yeah, it's possible, you know, whenever the energies change, there's some adjustment, right?
Okay, I moved it away and we're detoxing. There's
Mhm.
some other things going on, but I think that having moved it away is helping him right now. It's a little bit like 10, 15 feet away from him now.
Yes, and you can also ask your tower to help you guide with that, because remember
Okay,
that typically animals are much more sensitive to energy
okay.
than we are typically, right? And they notice changes much more, and also, you know, dogs, you know, sometimes change might make them feel a little unsettled, right?
That's
Even if it's
possible.
changed for the better, right? Even
Mhm.
let's say in places where there's a lot of stress or, you know, more chaos. I'm not saying that's your place, but a dog gets used to that, and then all of a sudden, you know, when things get more quiet, it's like, oh, how should I behave, right? But
Mhm.
ultimately, you know, they love this, right? And they will settle into it. But you're doing the right thing, which is going with your guidance
Mhm.
and then moving it and taking action as you feel guided. And yeah, there's
Thank
always
you.
transition.
Thank you. And
So
my friend
thank you
who,
for sharing that. Of
thank you so much. And can I add one more thing?
course.
My friend who turned me on to it here in California also, she's been trying to get me to get one for some time. And I, of course, the main reason I got it was for my dog, but the kitty cats lie right by it. One kitty decided he was going to move out, and then all of a sudden he's getting softer and more gentle. He's a little hard ass. And and the thing that was so fun is I was talking to her on the phone once I got it. She goes, you know, they like to have a name. And I go, oh, he just told me his name is Tristan. And is that okay to share? Do you not share your tower's name?
Yeah, absolutely. Many people share the name
Okay.
of their tower. I know some of them by heart. Zane's is Grace. I know that.
Okay. Well,
Adder
this
has
was
Merlin there.
I love it. This was really cute because I was in the process when I was talking to Tristan. I was in the process of setting up or repotting a plant, and I got this energy from the plant. And I've always been open to these kinds of things, but I've never heard this plant openly speak to me. And all of a sudden, I said, "Oh, you want a name too?" And the plant said, "Yes." And I said, "Okay, what's your name?" And the plant said, "I'm Evelyn." So everybody's naming themselves now.
Well, that's nice. What's important is that you're clearly connecting more deeper to life and to plants and to animals, and that's what it's all about,
I
right?
love it.
And I know some people
Yes.
on the call might be like, does my tower need a name? Like coming from, you know, the mental space? No, it does not, right? Every tower, you know, it's an energy signature. And for me, a name can help because it's like a shortcut. But if you do not need a name, but you just like to feel your tower and connect with it, it's totally okay, right? The name just helps our humanness, make it easier to connect and connect quicker. Thank you so much for sharing that, Helena. That's beautiful.
Thank you very
I
much.
always love hearing,
Really
especially
appreciate
about
this.
the animals and the tower, because you know humans we can get stuck in our heads sometimes, as we talked about, and like, is this really doing anything? I cannot feel anything, and animals are just like, oh yeah. I like the same with plants. They're not thinking about it like, would this be this box? They're like, oh no, life force, I'm growing, I'm standing tall, you know?
Nico, you have such a beautiful way of like piercing the stuff. Like, there's definitely somebody out there thinking they have to name their tower, and it's great. And I just love the way you kind of soften life and make room for everything. And you know, guys, that's what the road trip's all about. Is Nico's just going to travel around the country and share these experiences. I mean, if you want to participate in the road trip and make Nico really happy, just invite him to your house to meet your dog. Like that makes Nico really happy. And if you get it, if
I'm
you do
in
get it,
California. You're welcome.
thank you. Well, I know the area where you are, and if the West Coast trip develops next, that area will definitely be a hotbed. Nico will spend multiple days there because there's a lot of towers there. But if you do get him at your house, then be sure to get him going on his dog caricatures, because he's just about as funny as can be. And sometimes back when we spent time on the farm together in North Carolina, Nico would be like, Patter's a little hard-headed today. I need to cut through something. He's like, maybe I'll use Charlie the Lab's voice. And he'd start talking to me from Charlie the Lab. It was really sweet. So
No. Charlie was talking through me to you.
there we go. Yes, I appreciate the distinction. So, you know, what this road trip is about is it's about taking nature, about taking the parasympathetic, about feeling this way together. And it's not like some big lecture hall and there's, 5,000 people and we're coming in with cosmic towers and we're giving a scientific presentation. It's about your kitchen table and the people who you love, who live around you, and you inviting them over, and you inviting Nico over and be like, hey, come talk with us. And you just have some tea and hang out and drink some structured water or whatever and have this experience. So it's the first time, I think, since we announced it, that we've been able to meet with you guys as a group, or at least we're deepening the understanding about what the trip is. So if you live between Dallas and across the bottom of the country, down into Florida, and then up the East Coast into New England, and then across, this part's not definite yet. This will take more interest, across New York and Ohio, Michigan, and Missouri, and back down into Dallas. Like, that whole thing is the route. And all you have to do is email us and say, hey, I want to play. Like, I'll invite some people over and we'll put you on the trip. And some people are like gung ho. There's like, there's a co-op in my neighborhood. They have events. I'm getting with the manager. I'm creating a sign-up sheet, and they're like going. And some people are just like, yeah, come over. My couple of girlfriends will come over and we'll sit and have tea one morning. So it's all on the table. The point is to have that feeling that we just shared be human life. Right? That's the point. I mean, ultimately, we don't need cosmic towers. We don't need any tools. We don't need aqua energizers. We just need ourselves. We just need to remember the truth of who we are. And so these subtle energy tools help us shift who we are. They act as remembrances to find the field, to find the frequency, to find the ways of expressing ourselves. But ultimately, we're just conditioning human beings to remember truth, just like we've been conditioned to remember fear and separation and all of that. So the email for interest in the road trip and participating in it is support@thewellnessenterprise.com. Any email or phone number you have for us all goes to the same place. So just get in touch with us and tell us that you want to play, you want Nico to come by, and you can invite him to stay in your home, or you can invite him just to pass through. It's all good. So yeah, anybody have any questions about the road trip? Or actually, I'll just open it up. If there are any more questions about anything, now is the moment.
There was a question from Elena I can comment on, which is the water in the hose also structured? So yes, right. It's a toroidal field, right? That does the structuring. The same happens with vortexing water through like aqua energizer. It's a very they're both very similar processes. The cosmic tower does it on a subtle level. So the moment water under pressure, it might have different difficulty to structure, right? Water's not meant to run through a straight copper pipe all over. Do you ever see it run straight through a pipe in nature? No, absolutely not, right? So that's where it loses its life force also, when it's under pressure in a pipe for a long time. But then the moment it gets released from that pressure through a faucet or through your hose into the garden, right? The water is structured. Right. I hope that answers your question. And then while I have everybody anyway, it's a little passion project of mine. If you know of anybody with a cosmic tower that has children with autism, it's something I'm looking at now, how the towers can help with autism, because like I think 1 in 36 children now, or maybe even like 1 in 31 children 8-year-old, right? I mean, it's a big deal. There's a lot of people that are suffering, a lot of families that are suffering, and I absolutely believe, I know from one of my friends up in New York who got a tower before we could actually get the first container in, and he saw big shifts in his son, who is autistic, once he had the tower. But it's definitely something we're focusing on, and I'm just putting this out here. If you know anybody, yeah, please email us and help us. And if somebody watches this video, yeah, please send us an email. It's something, you know, where we feel the towers can do a lot of good and we want to focus on.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We recently got a little letter from somebody who has she's given birth to 7 children, and one of them died, and that one had been living at home for a couple of years near her autistic son, and the autistic son wouldn't go to the grief counselor, wouldn't communicate, just like really shut down around the death. And you know, we're now 2 years later, and she attributes his growth and his recovery, the autistic son's recovery and his expansion in communication, to living in the home with the Cosmic Tower. And she's really attuned to what goes on with her kids. And it's so beautiful to start to understand the impact that living in a harmonic energy field can have. I love these stories, and I love that Nico's taken this project on. It's such a large part of our world now, and I don't know if you guys have followed any of the work of Veda Austin, but she's kind of picked up where Dr. Emoto left off, and she's freezing water crystals and letting water tell the story, and she's amazing. And her work has taken her to autistic kids, and so she started putting out a request that that kids with autism show up for her to dialogue about water and to interact with these crystals. And they showed up and they're like, Veda, are you ready? You know, this is really going to change your world. There's a recent interview where Pam Gregory interviewed Veda Austin. So that'd be a great place to start. If you guys, I see some of you writing down or taking notes. I loved that interview, and it introduced me to the telepathy tapes. And the telepathy tapes are a series of interviews that a woman did with curiosity about, are these autists, as she calls them, are these autists teaching us something? And do they have the capacity to read their parents' minds? And do they have the capacity to interact through telepathy? And, you know, the answer is so definitively yes. It's kind of mind-blowing. And so for the first time in my life, my awareness, I've seen autism shifting through this passion that Nico has to understand it, from being like such a burden on families and society. Like, it's just so hard from my perspective, the story I've been telling myself, for parents to nourish a child through childhood when they're really deeply on this spectrum. And now I'm seeing it that these people are coming through. They're just the most courageous souls who are coming in, many of them without the ability to communicate verbally. And yet they're brilliant. And so they're teaching us to go way beyond our 5 sense identification with this world. So it's like, I don't know if it's this linear, but this is my story about it. So the toxicity of this world has impacted the human species such that we now have 1 in 31 instead of 1 in 10,000. and the reaction, like the resiliency, the miracle that we are, sends down this new type of person who are willing to embody and show us new capabilities of the species. And that's our response to toxicity. Holy cow.
That's pretty awesome.
Wow. This has been a lot of shift for me in the last couple of weeks. And it, I think as I'm talking about it, it's funny because I could feel my internal state being in the parasympathetic. And if those of you have watched my numbers in the chat today, like I said, 5 or 6 at the beginning and 9 after, but that 9's still not a 10, right? There's a certain tension that I allow myself to run. And as I'm speaking to you about this, I feel my softness. And just like it's higher than the 9. I don't know if I want to go to 10, but it's higher and I feel softer. So it's a beautiful topic. It's cool that Nico's taking it on. So any connections that you guys have, any insights that you have, just reach out to him. We can always get you emails, any communication you send through the Wellness Enterprise that involves Nico, it always gets to him. You don't have to worry about getting to him personally. Just support at thewellnessenterprise.com gets everything done. We're easy that way. Yeah, okay. I'm done with my little share. Thank you. Who else? Any are we wrapping on that, or do we have any other questions or comments? Okay, I think that was the wrap. Well, may the softness that we touch together be always with you, and may it radiate from you, through you, around you. May your pets have it, your friends, your neighbors, the person down the block who you have the hardest time with. May they all have it. May we all just live like this. Let's experience love on earth. We're capable of it. We can embody it. And this is our future. This is our direction. So I acknowledge all of you for your courage to face all the things that go on in your mind and all the things that we're programmed to be in this world. And for you to say, I'm going to make a choice the way Zane does. Like, who's experiencing that? To have that questioning of that machinery that runs us, and to stand up together, and then to come together, and Cynthia, to unmute yourself and like be that person that gets up and dances when you know it's you. Oh my gosh, the courage and the willingness. It's exceptional to be a part of this with you guys. Thank you so much. From the depth of my heart, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
We'll see you guys next
Thank
time.
you.
All right,
Thank you.
take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Guys, thank you. Bye-bye.